SMT Nation, we back. Nation, today, time of this recording, you might be seeing this the following day. T-Mobile reported their Q2 earnings, and it was a really good quarter by most metrics. I'm not really sure what would be viewed as negative. For the most part, it was really good, but there is something that sticks out that I was listening to the earnings conference, and the reason why it sticks out is because I think it's an indication of what's coming in the future for the network. Let's talk about that here in this video. A link for the press release from tmobile.com. It's got all the Q2 earnings. Link for that will be provided in the description. Ways to support us can be found there as well. Please do like and share this video. Subscribe if it's your first time here. And please do turn on the bell notifications icon so you know whenever we do upload new content here on the channel. All right, folks. So I'm going to skip through all this stuff that's here at the top. We already covered the growth. We talked about the broadband, the postpaid. We talked about the prepaid. There's a couple more videos I got to make with respect to the network. This is kind of sort of one of them, but very, very specifically, I want to talk a little bit about their capex and capex with respect to spending on the network. So check this out, right? If you look here, they kind of changed their guidance on their capex. Originally, their prior guidance was 8.6 billion to 9.4 billion. They are actually guiding down capex. All right, so instead of the 8.6 to 9.4, they increased the floor to 8.7, but then brought down the ceiling to 9.1 billion. Generally speaking, to me, that looks and feels like they're going to try to spend less money this year with respect to capex. And additionally, with respect to capex, they were very light this quarter for Q2. And they said they were going to be pretty light for Q3, which lends itself to basically a dump in capex in Q4. So I got to thinking about why the reasoning for that is and what it may mean. Well, if you look at the capex, they may still kind of get pretty close to the 9.4 billion. Like 9.1 is not that big of a deal, but them kind of backloading it tells me that there's a project that they might be starting, and it might be Q4. Now, they may have been waiting for some sort of equipment that maybe just wasn't available up until that point. When they got the time frame on that equipment, now they can deploy it. I think it is the combo C-band DoD radio that they've been waiting for. And we have heard absolutely nothing from them about when they were going to start deploying that at any sort of scale. Now, if you were, and I'm purely speculating that this could be connected to this because they're backloading it, right? They obviously are spending, I think, about $4.9 billion on Metronet, the fiber company. They're spending $1 billion on Lumos, both of those being joint ventures. They're not, sole owners of it. They're splitting it with investment firms, KKR and I forget the other one. But anyways, the capital allocations that we're seeing, it just kind of makes sense that might be what it is. They've also kind of watched their quote unquote 5G lead kind of, shrinking in a way. You've got Verizon really kicking up the network build. AT&T is also building pretty fast. So they have a reason to try to preserve whatever that lead may be, that perception. And, they also have grown very organically, by adding a lot of customers to their network. And customers' data usage patterns have increased. And their, fixed wireless access 5G home internet continues to sell. Maybe it's time for those spectrum assets to go on air, but you have to go up and climb these towers and add those radios and antennas. And at the same time, there's probably a lot of sites that need to be upgraded from 1 gig fiber circuits to 10 gig fiber circuits. And that, again, that's going to be investment into the network. Now, that particular thing, the fiber piece, is OpEx. It's operational expenditures. That'll increase. Believe you me, guys, it's going to cost them at least 3x in OpEx when they start moving to large-scale 10 gig fiber circuits. But it's just the part of doing business. But I think that's where you're seeing them start to take some shavings here and there with capex. They're trying to take a little bit of money from here, put it towards this, right? They're trying to massage it, move it around a little bit. They still are very, very much in tune with the shareholder. They're trying to provide $60 billion in synergistic cash flow to investors. They spoke to that very specifically. In fact, the fiber spending on these companies, they said very specifically, was an investor interest to do so. They did it for the investors. That's what they said. So I think between the purchasing of these fiber assets and these companies, and I think with, the fact that they need to increase capacity on their network, I think that's what we're going to be seeing at the end of this year. We'll get proof of this, obviously, once things start to kind of come together in the fall, moving into the winter. I'm sure people will share, hey, I spotted this new radio and antenna up on this tower site in such and such market. I would anticipate the first 5 to 10 markets would deploy first. They're big ones, so like New York City, Miami, those types of markets. I think Houston's a big market for them. LA, Phoenix, these types of places would be kind of like the first places they'd see, and I think also Vegas. Now they do have some spectrum in the 3 gigahertz range in Cleveland, but I wouldn't anticipate it just yet. They have a low market share here. They're not spectrum constrained. They're not capacity constrained here, but in places where they have heavy data utilization, definitely becomes a factor. And of course, when they make those upgrades for the mobile network, then obviously the beneficiary also can kind of spill over into the fixed wireless home internet, right? So that becomes kind of an option as well. The CEO did speak to that and said that there's a waiting list. People are dying to get their services and they've had to turn them away, And by the way, and the investors that called in to ask questions, why didn't they ask about those changes, the geofencing, the geolocking, the bricking of the home internet gateways, because people, with the signups at the wrong addresses? Why didn't they ask about those things? Oh my God, man, they blow these opportunities. Anyways, all I'm saying is by the end of this year, you'll see an uptick in the capex. I wouldn't be too worried about it. Obviously, we don't like to see them spending less on the network, but it could just be them kind of backloading it, and then it could be a sign of things to come next year. We should get a re-guide either Q3 or after Q4 for sure. We get the guide for the following year and kind of how things are going to play out. But this could be very exciting for some of you out there in some markets that could see an additional 40 to 60 megahertz of bandwidth to 5G. And actually, that brings up another point. You're probably going to need a new smartphone. If you have, the older 5G phones where you only have, 2 carrier aggregation, 3 carrier aggregation, you're going to need a 4 carrier, and this is going to be the new phones up and coming in February from Samsung. You're going to need a 5 carrier aggregation phone for T-Mobile, because think about it. N71, N25, 2 channels of N41, because they have 180, 160 megahertz, right? Some places 190. And then you're going to add N77, which covers the C-band and the DoD. That is 5 component carriers. But that's a topic for another video. Anyways, let me know what you guys think is happening here with this back-end kind of backloaded capex, the reduction in the top end. What do you guys think is going on here? Sound off in the comment section below. You're the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.